Tonight, taking control.
The initial hopes that the departure of Maduro might represent a change in this hated regime have been dashed.
No election urgency as American interests take over Venezuela. Plus, blue bin breakdown.
There's no option really for me short of hiring a private contractor.
London businesses reckoning with new rules for recycling collection. And tackling housing with a personal project.
We got to see if it can make it through all 4 seasons.
The London student engineering potential solutions.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the latest from South America as Colombian military officials deploy troops to the Venezuelan border. That's in response to signals from President Donald Trump that country could be next. With more on today's developments and what's ahead, here's Joy Malvin.
The U.S. president taking a victory lap at the renamed Trump Kennedy Center.
It was brilliant tactically.
Donald Trump reveling in the American military might that captured former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, now in a U.S. prison charged with narco-terrorism.
We had a lot of boots on the ground, but it was amazing. And think of it, nobody was killed, and on the other side, a lot of people were killed. Unfortunately, I say that, soldiers. Cubans, mostly Cubans.
Tensions are high in Caracas after gunfire erupted overnight. Armed military police now patrolling the streets. The U.S. president insists he's in charge and will run Venezuela and help rebuild its oil infrastructure. Maria Machado, the democratically elected opposition leader who's in hiding, vowed to return, praised Trump's actions.
What he has done, as I said, is historic. It's a huge step towards a democratic transition.
And yet the Trump administration isn't focused on that, supporting Maduro's hand-picked vice president as leader, saying the U.S. can work with her.
The initial hopes that the departure of Maduro might represent a change in this hated regime have been dashed, seemingly endorsed by the United States, a woman who's got significant amounts of blood on her hands.
Trump's national security strategy suggests America will exert more control. The State Department posting this with the words, "This is our hemisphere." The president warns Colombia could be next, that country beefing up troops on the Venezuelan border. And Greenland on edge after Trump's closest advisor said this.
For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States.
Donald Trump's threats have rattled several countries as many question what comes next for the people of Venezuela and when or if there will be elections. Joy Malvin, CTV News, Washington.
The Prime Minister says he isn't worried about American plans for Venezuelan oil or the potential impact on Canadian exports, stating he's confident in our energy sector and our ability to remain competitive. But as Rachel Aiello reports, whether that proves a realistic expectation remains to be seen.
The Prime Minister is facing new pressure to ensure Canadian oil remains competitive in light of U.S. President Donald Trump pledging to rebuild Venezuela's energy sector.
We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago.
Asked today what impacts this could have on exports, Mark Carney said while a functioning Venezuela could eventually produce more oil, his government is working to expand Canadian capacity and access to new overseas markets.
We welcome the prospect of greater prosperity in Venezuela, but we also see the competitiveness of Canadian oil, and we're investing, or we're putting in place measures so that that's going to happen.
Carney's remarks came after Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre called for him to rapidly approve a new West Coast pipeline. In a letter to the PM, Poilievre said every barrel the United States sources from Venezuela could mean one less barrel these refineries would buy from Canada. Though experts say it will take several years and major investments before Venezuela could outpace the 4.5 billion barrels of crude that Canada produces per day.
It'll take billions and billions of dollars to correct the mismanagement of the Venezuelan crude oil system.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says the events in Venezuela emphasize the need to reach new buyers with new pipelines, while BC Premier David Eby said today he disagrees. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
New rules are now in effect for blue box recycling programs across the province. Government officials say they're about moving responsibility away from municipalities to the companies producing the packaging. However, as Rita Ismail reports, the changes are creating challenges for many local businesses.
Quartermaster Natural Foods in Wortley Village is among nearly 500 local small businesses that will no longer receive curbside blue box service. Owner Tim McMillan says despite efforts to address the issue last year, many businesses are now left to sort it out on their own.
There's no option really for me short of hiring a private contractor to come pick up our cardboard or me physically taking the cardboard out to some form of a recycling service.
Many of the businesses along Wortley Road were not even aware of the changes, some putting out their recycling this week.
I had no idea, actually no knowledge of this until just now, just today.
Effective January 1st, the responsibility for the Blue Box program shifted from cities to producers, the companies that supply packaging and paper. In London, residential recycling is no longer managed by the city. Instead, Circular Materials now oversees curbside collection and processing. But under provincial regulations, businesses are not included in that pickup.
Would be either the municipality would want to step in or the individual businesses themselves would have to make arrangements. But it's not something we can provide. Our program is specific to residential recycling.
In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson for the Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks said producer responsibility organizations have never been responsible for collecting blue box materials from industrial, commercial or institutional sources. In some communities, municipalities have chosen to offer small business recycling on their own initiative, and they can continue to do so. But despite discussion at City Council, London has yet to announce a solution for affected businesses.
Really, it's been kind of crickets from City Hall.
In the meantime, business owners worry the changes could discourage recycling altogether.
We should all be working collectively together, the communities, the city, the provincial government, to do better and to not leave a footprint and to be able to encourage people to recycle. And I'm afraid that this is going to do quite the opposite.
Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Good evening. I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. We are still in some warnings across the Midwestern tier of southern Ontario. And we're talking about ice accretions continuing now through the overnight. 1 to 2 millimeters can make things treacherous on area roads and surfaces. And still some ice pellets and snow possible, especially in Mount Forest and Shelburne, Ontario. This massive system, 2 areas of low pressure combining to be one big soggy mass, has produced freezing rain, of course, ice pellets, some graupel, snow grains and snow itself, and even some heavy downpours. I'll break down what you need to know as we are in the mild slot. This flow of energy keeping temperatures well above the freezing mark the next couple of days. This is still not over just yet. Carlyle?
Gary, thanks very much. The federal government is sending senior officials to Greenland next month amid pushback from European leaders and President Donald Trump's threats against the autonomous Danish territory. Mike Lukatour reports.
Ahead of the meeting hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron, Prime Minister Mark Carney said the goal was to finalize security guarantees for Ukraine. World leaders were joined by representatives from the U.S., hoping to build on the momentum towards peace.
Our main objective is to finalize the security guarantees amongst ourselves which create the possibility of a just and lasting peace for Ukraine.
The meeting brought together more than 30 world leaders who make up the coalition of the willing. They agreed to participate in a U.S.-led ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism, long-term support for Ukraine's armed forces, plus a multinational force to backstop Ukraine's military. There was also agreement on finalizing binding commitments to support Ukraine in the event that Russia breaks the ceasefire. And the countries agreed to deepen long-term defense cooperation with Ukraine.
Following a ceasefire, the UK and France will establish military hubs across Ukraine and build protected facilities for weapons and military equipment to support Ukraine's defensive needs.
Now, Canada's contribution could include troops on the ground as part of that multilateral backstop, something the government is ramping up for.
The largest military buildup in generations, coming over the course of the next 5 years, an additional $80 billion of investment, in part because of issues like this.
The U.S. buy-in is key to any plan succeeding, and President Trump's envoy is supportive of this one.
We think we're largely finished with security protocols, which are important so that the people of Ukraine know that when this ends, it ends forever.
Regardless of the result of today's meeting, nothing can be put into place until there is a ceasefire. Prime Minister Carney reiterated the final elements of that need to be negotiated between the U.S., Ukraine, and Russia. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Paris.
The province's police watchdog has cleared a London officer for their role in a fatal crash last fall. According to the SIU, the officer tried to stop a driver in the Old East Village back in September. Officials say the driver took off, though, crashing into an SUV at Queens Ave and William Street, killing a woman and injuring 2 men. Police say the person driving the truck is a man from Manitoulin Island who faces several charges. Demonstrators gathered outside the London courthouse today, chanting support for a suspect charged for their role in a defense conference protest in the fall.
What offense? Against which law? And what reasonable grounds could there be to seize these items? This is police overreach.
The protesters accuse officers of unlawfully seizing flags and protest placards. London police have said they seized laptops, phones, placards and smoke bombs at properties in London, Hamilton, Toronto and Marmora. Charges have ranged from mischief to obstructing police and assault. The protesters denounced the charges as well as Israel's occupation of Gaza.
Is owning a free Palestine fridge magnet now against the law? Should other Canadian residents be aware of the risks of seizure of such items for their homes?
Stratford police are offering a $10,000 reward trying to crack a cold case in a small Ontario town. It's been almost a decade since Derek Ritz disappeared from Sebringville. Hannah Schmidt has the latest on police efforts to find out what happened to him.
It's been 9 long years, and Richie deserves better than this.
Another year with no answers.
We're trying. We're not going to give up. Phil and I will not give up. His best friend and I will not give up. We're trying, and we're doing the best we can right now.
Derek Ritz, or Ritzy to his friends, vanished in December 2016 after he was last seen at a home in Sebringville, just west of Stratford.
There's been a lot of the same stuff been repeated to the investigators, so we know we're on the right track.
A lot of the information that we get is pretty similar in nature, and a lot of it's third hand because everyone's heard the stories that are out there.
Over the past 9 years, there have been several ground and air searches for Ritz, who was known to frequently walk from Sebringville to Stratford, which takes just over an hour.
They've all come up negative. We're still investigating, and we still get the odd tip here and there, just not as frequently as we'd like. And we just need to close some loops.
Now Stratford police say they're renewing their push for answers, offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to the 51-year-old's whereabouts or those responsible for his disappearance.
It's rare for us to not have an open case for this long. We're not closing the fact that he may be alive because we don't have proof that he is deceased.
For Ritz's friend Shelley Smith, the announcement is emotional but overdue.
It's sad that it had to be a reward amount of dollars for them to want to come forward or to give them incentive. But this is where we're at, right? People are afraid.
Smith has spent years keeping Ritz's name alive, working alongside both police and Please Bring Me Home Canada, a nonprofit that helps families search for missing loved ones.
We're pretty sure we know what happened. We just need to be able to prove it.
As of 2024, 2025, we had 2 investigators who were strictly involved in in investigating, over 100 individuals in regards to this case to try and close it for us.
Police say this reward is meant to break that silence, reminding anyone with information that it's never too late to come forward.
Hopefully we can find where Derek is, or, get somebody charged with his disappearance.
For Smith, it's a push to finally get some questions answered.
Sure. Very sad for Missy. He doesn't deserve this.
Hannah Schmidt, CTV News, Stratford.
A prospective engineer is starting a new project developing a modular home concept which he hopes will help with London's housing crisis. With more on the design and his plans to test it himself, here's Brian Bicknell.
When he became aware of the devastation in his hometown of London caused by homelessness, Rebel Zebian wanted to do something about it.
We have around 1,800 homeless people, and that number is rising.
A first-year engineering student at Western, we first met Zebian last year when, as a high school student, he designed an electric wooden working model of a Mercedes G-Class SUV. Now the 18-year-old has developed a prototype for a new modular home that could help to house those living on the street.
And it's not mainly only the homeless issue. I'm concerned about the people in the future that will end up facing that problem, right? Because house prices are increasing.
Made of fiberglass panels, he believes the home can be functional, be built inexpensively, and look attractive.
With fiberglass, you can make extravagant molds, and you could replicate those. They could be duplicated. And for our roofing system, we're not using the traditional truss method. We're using actually an insulated core PET foam that supports with the structure.
Longtime affordable housing advocate Gary Brown is encouraged.
Are tiny homes the entire answer? No, but it's a part of the solution. I've seen quite a few going up in other cities, and it's something London itself is kind of lagging behind a little bit.
But Zebian is not stopping there. Beginning in May, he plans to live in the home for 1 year, located far from the comforts of his family home.
We got to see if it can make it through the all four seasons, summer, winter, spring, and fall. And if it can make it through that, great. But that's not the only thing. It's that when you live in something that long and you use it, you can notice every single mistake and error.
Once Zebian has lived in the home for a year and refined the prototype, his goal is to partner with manufacturers to mass produce the home and get it to as many people who need it as possible.
But I do believe eventually we'll get to the point where we'll be able to deliver these homes to people.
Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Coming up, demanding compensation, the rally outside Queen's Park over a Realty scandal and the provincial government connections. Plus, safe and sound after an icy rescue. The husky saved after falling into the Detroit River.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. A father took the witness stand today in the manslaughter trial against a local daycare operator, describing the days surrounding his young son's death. With more on that testimony, here's Nick Paparella.
Just days after this photo was taken with his father, Kent McClellan, in October of 2015, the court heard 15-month-old Nathaniel would die in a hospital bed from a brain injury. When remembering his son, he said, "I love them all, but Nate was a good guy, and he just loved being with people." Just before the photo was taken, the father said Nathaniel had been bumped by a door, saying it looks like he had some blemish on his forehead, but he didn't notice any other injury. The next day, Nathaniel would be taken to the home daycare of Megan Van Hoof in Strathroy. And just hours after being dropped off, McClellan received an alarming call that something was wrong with the child. They were asking me if I could come to the hospital. Something had happened to Nate. Once there, he fought back tears when he said he was on a stretcher and he looked so... I gave him a kiss and noticed that he had suffered something on the left side of his head above his temple. There was some type of impact. After a lengthy police investigation that took years, officers would eventually charge the 46-year-old Van Hoof with manslaughter. She has pled not guilty. Later in the day, McClellan testified that he had never met Van Hoof. However, on the day Nathaniel was rushed to hospital, he received a text from her. She said, "This is Megan. I'm at the ER. I don't see you. Let me know what I can do." He said in the days that followed, "I was lifeless. I was spent. I was not in a good place." In time, he became increasingly frustrated with the police investigation, saying they didn't eliminate us as suspects, and I thought that was wrong. His testimony resumes on Wednesday. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Demonstrators rallied outside Queen's Park today, demanding the provincial government compensate victims of a Realty scandal. With more on the millions of dollars involved and where the money all went, here's Siobhan Morris.
Pay today! Pay today! That's the message from ex-iPro realtors caught in the middle of a scandal.
This is a fraud. This is a criminal negligence.
In May, the founders of iPro Realty pulled millions of dollars out of the company trust. The Real Estate Council of Ontario, or RECO, didn't do anything about it until August. In December, the government intervened, appointing an administrator, firing the RECO board. Claims for cash from former iPro employees have exploded to $30 million.
We want a clear dialogue and transparency so that we can reach at 100% of payment.
So far, the brokerage's 2,400 agents have been offered only half.
We work hard for our money and we deserve to get paid 100%.
The law should take action.
Sonia Zhang is waiting on $20,000.
Change a lot of decisions, like a family decision, and my mom is in ICU, so that's hard.
The minister in charge not available for an interview. But a spokesperson says the administrator and RECO are working with insurance on this, writing in part, "Our government will continue to hold RECO to the highest possible standards to ensure realtors receive 100% of the compensation they are owed." But there's no answer on when. Our bills cannot wait. This fight has cost realtors more than money.
Confidence in this profession and in the ethics of this country and this province.
The OPP has launched an investigation into all this, but there are questions about why it took so long for them to be notified.
This is an absolute catastrophic failure. I can't understand for the life of me why the decisions were made by the regulator to handle it in the way in which it was done.
An approach mired in secrecy that real estate professionals say has to change. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Stratford police have brought on a new canine member, but as Karis Mapp reports, this dog's job has nothing to do with chasing down suspects.
Stratford Police's newest member is reporting for duty. Dusty is a 3-year-old lab hired to make a positive impact.
She can really just be that bridge between the police and the community, victims who are really struggling to potentially come forward and knowing that, when they show up, they're going to be greeted by Dusty.
She's been busy with assignments such as supporting victims in court or visiting local businesses.
And it just puts everybody at ease. They're able to pet the dog, which is calming for them. They're able to see that the dog is calm, which shows them that the place is safe and that they're going to be okay.
Different from a police canine, Dusty's tasks are all about engagement.
Canines are trained to search, they're trained to detect drugs, they're trained to apprehend individuals, whereas facility dogs are purpose-bred for providing emotional support for individuals.
But don't let the focused face fool you. When she's off the clock, Dusty is just like any other dog.
When she's around the station and hanging out with a lot of the officers and a lot of people that are here to visit, she's generally just a silly, sort of bouncy lab.
Dusty may be hard at work now, but it was only 4 short months ago that she was training for the big role right here at the National Service Dog Education Centre. Staff at the Kitchener location say they fondly remember Dusty's training.
She was engaging, she was smart, she loved to work, she wasn't fazed by anything, and she loved to be with all kinds of different people all the time.
Dusty was given to Stratford Police through support by donors and Wounded Warriors Canada. The national mental health service provider for trauma-exposed professionals sponsors roughly 4 dogs a year at about $30,000 each.
They've made a tangible difference. They come in at difficult times. Police right now have the largest number of these dogs operational. across the country.
And officers in Stratford say they're grateful to have Dusty on duty.
Policing can be a very emotionally heavy job, and it's nice to be able to have that release.
Karis Mapp, CTV News, Stratford.
A Windsor woman is thanking local police officers for their help rescuing her stranded pet this past weekend. As Chris Campbell reports, her 11-year-old husky fell into the Detroit River and couldn't get back out.
It was scary. It was very scary.
A terrifying moment for Windsor dog owner Sasha Dillon. Her 11-year-old husky Ace slipped and fell in the icy waters of the Detroit River.
And within seconds, he'd sort of taken one sidestep onto the ice. And before you know it, his paws had spread out and he was sliding towards the river and plop. He just fell in.
With Ace stranded off a piece of ice, Windsor police rushed to the scene, working together to pull him to safety.
My instinct was obviously to run out and want to get on there, but I knew that would be two of us in the river. So I called Windsor Police straight away, and within minutes, sirens, and there were 3 officers running over.
Dillon says one officer had to get down on his stomach and shimmy, stretching out across the ice to reach Ace.
They were really fast. I can't believe how quickly they turned up, and I can't believe how quickly it all happened.
Ace was safely reunited with his owner and brought home. Cold, shaken, but okay.
Where'd you go? After shaking it off, and we got him home and dried, and a couple of hours, he seemed to be perfectly okay.
Yeah, your husky may like being outside a lot, but they have like a double coat. So the first coat is pretty water resistant, but the undercoat is more of an insulating coat. So if that coat gets wet, then your dog's in trouble, just like any other dog.
Pet and wildlife rescue officials say no dog, regardless of breed, is safe on frozen water. Miriam Armstrong, the executive director of Pet and Wildlife Rescue in Chatham, says owners should always keep pets leashed near rivers, lakes, or ponds.
Don't go near it. It's not worth the chance of, losing your pet in the water.
We won't be taking walks by the river anytime soon.
Police say it's a reminder that icy conditions can turn dangerous in seconds. But this time, quick teamwork means a happy ending and one very lucky husky back where he belongs. Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Meteorologist Gary Archibald is with me tonight. And Gary, as we heard earlier, that was kind of a slippery story. We're talking about the risk for slips and falls now as well with the freezing rain we're dealing with.
Yes, you're right about that. Good evening, Carlyle, folks. Freezing rain still in the forecast tonight. We have a massive 2 areas of low pressure coming together to create the freezing rain, ice pellets, rainfall itself, even some wet snow. And it continues this hour through the overnight. We've reached a high above the freezing mark. Our average high is 3 degrees colder at -2. And parts of the Midwest are still hovering around the freezing mark. Case in point for Mount Forest, our friends in North Perth, all looking at freezing rain right now, intermixed with just drizzle, and snow is a big part of the story, with temperatures getting close to about 0 or -1 for parts of the Bruce Peninsula, leaning east towards Barrie and Collingwood. The wind chill factor, really not much of a story, but winds are going to pick up late tonight into tomorrow. More on that in just a minute. Talk about 2 areas of low pressure combining to be 1. Here's your mess. Stretching from the state of Michigan right through the heart of southern Ontario, due east towards Pennsylvania, New York State, and southeastern Ontario. Anywhere from Toronto due north along the 400, seeing snow, ice pellets, freezing rain. Due east towards, say, Kingston, some snow. And finally, the evacuation takes place. The system moves east in its wake. Still a good southerly flow for the next 3 or 4 days, which keeps temperatures during the daytime well above the freezing mark, hence being above seasonal. In terms of the rainfall, well, we're warm enough that it's going to stay rain and will through to the overnight. There's snow, obviously, in the eastern flank, but the worst case scenario is being caught in the mix. And that freezing rain line, Shelburne, Mount Forest, Hanover, Ontario, could see it. I think we'll see some wet flakes there and freezing rain ice pellets, the mixture tonight through to about 1 or 2 a.m. Rain for us between now and midnight. And midnight's interesting in that we'll see some wet flakes and just showers. Temperature hovering around +2, but it's not completely uniform. That's why within a big city, you could be downtown and seeing some rain, and then north of or in suburbs and seeing some wet snow or an icy mix. Speaking of which, there it is for early tomorrow morning, high of +2. And then look at this, that southerly flow keeps us well above seasonal. 7 degrees on a cloudy Thursday, +7 on Friday, rain likely, and then rain on Saturday. We'll see temperatures getting colder as a colder air, polar air mass moves in as we begin next week, starting Sunday, of course, first day of the week. Similar forecast for the Midwest, but here's where the snow, especially into the Georgian Bay, northeastern shores, inland parts of Lake Huron territory, that's where we get into some messy roads, icy conditions. Still warm through Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday before things cool off significantly, and we'll see flurries perhaps a week from now. So the takeaway is do take care. Wet, icy conditions in parts of the Midwestern tier still an issue between now and tomorrow morning.
All right, Gary, thanks very much. Still ahead, sticking to it, how to get in the right mentality to make the most of a New Year's resolution.
2026 is going to be the year of you and concerts. Kicking off on Monday, we have Pure Country 93's Big Ticket for a Year. This is your chance to score a pair of tickets to every single country show coming to London for the entire year. You can check out all the details now over at purecountry93.ca.
The latest data from the London St. Thomas Realtors Association shows a recent increase in home sales. The figures show 400 homes change hands in December with an average sale price of about $615,000. That's up compared to November. Over the course of the whole year, home sales were actually down about 5% compared to 2024. The L-Star report also shows inventory in the region is at record levels with almost 6 months of market supply.
If they lowered another 0.25% would definitely help give buyers a little more buying power and some confidence. A buyer's goal is always to buy at the lowest price, so at the bottom of the market. How do you know when you're at the bottom of the market? The only way to really know is when it starts to climb back up again, right? So I think December, there was a lot of buyers taking advantage of those lower prices and lower interest rates, and it's still a fantastic time to buy.
New Stats Canada data shows international tourist spending increased in Canada during the third quarter. The latest report shows a 0.7% increase attributed to more international visitors spending money largely in the accommodation services sector. However, domestic Canadian tourism spending slowed, reporting just a 0.5% increase. The number of non-residents traveling to Canada also decreased from October to November. The Consumer Electronics Show is underway in Las Vegas.
It's a worldwide phenomenon that we're dealing with, and we hope to bring puppies out to people very, very soon.
Residents at a Vegas seniors home got to meet this high-tech robot dog designed with emotional support in mind. More human-like robots are also taking the spotlight.
This lets Atlas move even more efficiently than humans, particularly in manufacturing environments where every second counts.
Atlas is Hyundai's newest robot. Company officials say they expect this type of humanoid tech to be the largest segment of the physical AI market, with a goal of assembling products by 2030. Lifted Canada's main stock index deeper into record territory. The TSX was up 187 points today. In New York, the Dow surged almost 500, the Nasdaq up more than 150. Canadian dollar was off 1/10 cent today. On commodities, gold climbed almost $45 an ounce. Oil was down about $1.20 a barrel. Later on CTV News, we're going behind the likes. We'll meet a basketball fan from St. Thomas and his memorable encounter with his favorite player. Welcome back. Police in Barrie say they've charged a woman with first-degree murder, accusing her of killing her 10-year-old son. Officers say they were called to a townhouse complex on New Year's Eve. They say they found the boy inside dead when they arrived. Police say the woman remains in custody. Ontario lawyers say the province's new online portal meant to streamline court system access is instead creating new hurdles and delays. The portal launched in the fall, allowing for document filing, fee payments, offering virtual links for court hearings and non-criminal matters. However, lawyers say tasks like scheduling a motion can now take weeks instead of just days. They also claim the portal is not synchronized with the Superior Court of Justice's mandatory document sharing platform and may not show every case a lawyer is participating in. It's been 5 years since the deadly riot on the U.S. Capitol following Donald Trump's loss in the 2020 presidential election to Joe Biden. An angry mob stormed the buildings, forcing their way inside while lawmakers tried to escape. Several people were killed and more than 700 people were arrested. An apartment in Quebec has turned into an icy disaster after a tenant turned off the heat and then left for months. The landlords say they were able to get inside yesterday after going through an eviction process for the tenant in Trois-Rivières, which is about 2 hours east of Montreal. Multiple water pipes had burst, flooding the apartment and then freezing. The landlords say they will have to gut the unit. We're nearly a week into the new year, and with that, a week into any New Year's resolutions. As Lauren Stallone reports, many are focused on starting 2026 with health and fitness goals in mind, but going too big, too fast can do more harm than good.
New year, new me, a popular phrase for personal transformation at the start of the new year, often referring to resolutions involving fitness. But experts are concerned it may be setting unrealistic standards.
It's an idea that we have been ingrained in.
Randy Diaz, owner of Forest City Fitness, says she often sees an increase in gym users during the month of January.
We make sure that they have understanding, a community, and a place that they can not only just come and work out. It's a mental part of January, not the stereotypical.
Diaz says she believes clients put pressure on themselves to set unrealistic goals and wants to break that barrier.
We want to encourage everybody to know if you don't get there in January, you can get there the next month.
Experts say the pressure of feeling the need to complete a goal by the end of the month makes fitness unenjoyable for participants.
If you're going to go to the gym once a week and you don't love, killing it on the Stairmaster or on the elliptical, then make it fun. You can bring a friend. You can treat yourself after.
They say small, realistic fitness goals, such as a 5 to 10% increase in activity, are more likely to stick.
If you're going from 0, then once a week for the entire month of January is a big win. 80% of people who set New Year's resolutions regarding exercise or other health behavior goals don't achieve them.
One local gym goer says he tries to set new goals every year, but reminds himself nothing happens overnight.
The key is to be consistent, right? I mean, you're going to have days and times where you kind of fall off, and the key is to, just get through that day or a couple days and then get back on it.
And maybe new year, new me doesn't have to mean all or nothing. Just a better start and a reminder to be kind to yourself along the way. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
Hey, it's KP from Virgin Radio, and if you know me, you know I love animals, like my washi girl here. Can I have kisses? KP's Rescue 975 is our segment dedicated to helping amazing rescue animals find the loving homes they deserve. We team up with the wonderful people at Animal Alert and Happy's Place to introduce you to pets who are ready for their forever families. From playful pups to gentle seniors, these animals all have incredible stories, and I'm here to share them with you. We'll keep bringing you ways to adopt, support, or simply spread the word, because together we can make a real difference for these animals. And of course, we couldn't do it without our friends at London's Airport Kia, who help support us in shining a spotlight on local rescues. So join us, and together we can keep saving dogs' lives one rescue at a time. Oh no,
Let's take a look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thank you, Beth, for sending in this image indicative of some of that freezing rain that we have seen across parts of southern Ontario. Rain is still the big player in terms of active weather the next 24 hours, and temperatures for daytime highs surge well above the freezing mark for this time of year as well. We'll talk about getting colder perhaps next week. For now, keep that umbrella nearby.
Staff at an indoor trampoline park in Toronto say they're reviewing an incident after an 11-year-old boy fell off a zip line. The boy's harness appears to fail, causing him to fall several meters to the concrete ground. His parents say paramedics were called, rushing him to hospital.
I was worried about passing away.
You thought you were going to die?
Yeah, a little bit.
They did not even call 911. There were bystanders. There were some other parents who started calling.
The parents say they did sign a waiver, but they claim only one staff member was monitoring the zip line and no one tested the harness beforehand. They say their son is recovering now at home. More Canadians are taking a break from alcohol as the calendar flips. Dry January is steadily gaining momentum, promoted by many on social media for its health benefits. With more on the trend's popularity, here's Sanjay Maru.
A mojito with no alcohol? At the Grand Cantina, it's called a no-hito, and it's quickly become one of the more popular drinks on their menu.
It's kind of more of a ritual now. People are get into the mode of like, yep, this time of year again, let's get sober up for at least a month and see what happens. I mean, myself and my husband do the same thing too.
The growing interest in non-alcoholic beverages, a clear sign of Dry January in full swing. It's a voluntary public health initiative where people choose to avoid alcohol altogether for the first month of the year. And while motivations vary, health is one of the biggest reasons why.
We know that alcohol is actually one of the larger contributors towards cancer cases in Canada annually.
According to the Canadian Cancer Society, more than 3,200 deaths in the country annually are linked to cancers caused by alcohol. And experts say it does not take much to increase your risk.
Say you're a 42-year-old woman who has 10 glasses of wine per week, so a glass or two with dinner. You're actually that woman actually finds herself at an increased chance of getting breast cancer, close to 20%, and almost a 30% increased chance of developing esophageal cancer.
Health is a major reason why Igor Jaich has chosen to take part in Dry January, but for him, it's also about culture.
Today is Orthodox Christmas Eve, tomorrow is Orthodox Christmas. And as Serbs, we are raised to respect alcohol. It is part of the culture. So for me, I can walk by this every day and not touch it.
Sanjay Maru, CTV News.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. I'm on the desk now with Lauren Stallone, who's joining me for a new segment we are launching every Tuesday. And we're building on something that we started during our Year in Review show, which you may have caught over the holidays, which included a new segment called Behind the Likes. You can check that first segment out on our YouTube page. This is segment 2. Lauren, welcome. What are we looking at today?
Thank you. Yeah, so we're looking at all the viral videos online, keeping that local connection with some Londoners, speaking with creators, and getting an understanding of why these trends are so popular and going viral.
With local connections,
exactly.
Too, right? As we saw in that first segment, it was these locally created delicious treats. Doesn't look like we're going to be eating anything this time, though.
Unfortunately not. I don't have anything for us to eat, but we are going to be talking about sports, which I know you're a huge fan of. Norman Powell. We have a local man from St. Thomas. Now, he went out to the game in Detroit. Norman Powell played for the Raptors. He now plays for the Miami Heat. They were playing Detroit. He went to the game, and he had, I think it was 8 jerseys that he wore on top of each other and kind of revealed them for Powell, and the reaction is amazing. It has thousands of views online, so you're going to want to check this out.
What better way to start cards than the guy that I love the most? And ever since then, the name has kind of grown, and just been buying more cards, and now my collection's over 1,000 Norman Powell cards. Named Jackson Lale, otherwise Norman Powell Collector.
Powell for 3. Kaboom.
I'm Canadian myself, so I've always been watching Norm since his Raptors days 10 years ago now, which feels like forever. I really hope to meet Norm tonight.
We got to see him. He actually has. Yeah, we got to see him.
In total, I have 8 Norman Powell jerseys. Most of them have been signed.
One.
Raptors, plain black.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
My sign one today.
Yeah?
I'm giving the game one today.
Hell of a game, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great game.
Now, if the name in that video seemed a little familiar, that is because Jackson Lale's father is our own Brent Lale, who joins us on the desk now for more on this whole experience.
Brent, how did this happen?
So we went to the Pistons game and just kind of went down by the court, and we immediately flagged down their social media guy and just kind of said, hey, Jackson is a huge Norm Powell fan. He's got thousands of sports cards. He's got 8 jerseys here. Would you like this for your social media? And immediately they loved the idea.
They love someone doing their job for them.
Yeah, that was definitely helpful. And then immediately, before we knew it, we're down on the court. He's unveiling these jerseys to Norm Powell. Norm says he'll give him his game jersey, and Norm follows him back on Instagram. It's all of a sudden picked up by, Instagram sites like the NBA and Bleacher Report that have hundreds of millions of followers.
What is that like for your son? I mean, if my idol, Selena Gomez, followed me on Instagram, I think I'd freak out.
The last 6 days have definitely been pretty exciting for him, and now he's got the pressure to update his Instagram page because now Norm Powell is following him.
All right, well, Brent, thanks very much for sharing that awesome story. Lauren, thanks for bringing this one to us as well. We'll be back next Tuesday with another edition of Behind the Likes. That's it for us, for all of us at CTV News London. I'm Carlyle. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.